I always wanted to get into the creative arts because when I was a kid, kind of sad, I didn't have many friends, and I'd always just like imagine stuff, and I'd watch so many films, and I think it was just really natural to get into storytelling. Like it was my imagination, it was my escape. So I always knew inside that I'd get into the creative business. I didn't know exactly how, like if I'd be a writer or director or an actor, but I just knew it would be something in that, and it was only later that I realised screenwriting and directing film was what I really wanted to do. I wasn't involved in that many creative activities till I was about 13. I think I had really low confidence when I was a kid, so I wasn't doing much. And I always like worried that I'd like wasted time, but when I was 13 I basically moved schools to a whole new area, and I felt like I could kind of just like recreate myself again, like sort of do exactly what I wanted. So I started doing more like drama, more dance. I picked up a bit of writing, not screenwriting, but I was trying like writing really terrible poems and things like that, just getting into it. And for GCSEs and A-level I took like creative subjects in both those. I wasn't thinking long-term plan, I just wanted to do stuff that I enjoyed, and I was really lucky actually. Both my parents always encouraged me to just do whatever I wanted really. So for GCSE I took dance and drama, as well as history and geography, and then for A-level I did drama, dance, media and history. I actually didn't start off doing media, I actually started off doing English literature, and I really weird as a writer, I really hate reading, so I don't know why I picked it. I thought like I need to do another proper subject or whatever, but then I just was like, actually no, I love media, and why should that not be like valued as much? I don't know, I honestly think it was just watching so many films as a kid. My parents let me watch anything, like I was watching 15 and 18s when I was like 7 years old because they just didn't care. They were just like, yeah, just watch whatever, and I think it really broadened my mind. And I've always been sort of a mirror in terms of like people's emotions. If I see someone crying, I feel awful. If I watch a film that's sad, I like get really into it, and I think I've just been very emotive my whole life, and I think that's why I wanted to channel that into something. And media, the arts, film, that allows you to have that like cathartic release, I suppose, and I want other people to feel that. I thought I wanted to be an actor actually when I was like a teenager, but I think that's only because that's kind of really the only thing you're taught. Like I heard about directors and I kind of knew that somebody obviously must have written these scripts, but you're just not exposed to who they are or how to even get into that industry. Like it wasn't even a thought of like how to become a director. Whereas being an actor, it's like more obvious, I suppose. So after sixth form I went to the University of Birmingham and I decided to do drama and theatre arts. I weirdly, studying drama I never enjoyed as much. I loved the acting part of it, but the studying part I didn't like so much. It was a lot of reading plays. I said, this sounds really bad being a writer and I don't like reading, but it's true. I find it really hard to read. I like watching plays and I like watching films, but reading them is a bit more difficult for me. But anyway, I chose drama at the University of Birmingham, and actually I got more involved in like the society stuff, so like the drama groups there and the dance society, which was more practical than my course. So I was doing all that stuff on the side. And actually in my third year of uni I decided I want to just make my own film, because I was sort of annoyed that there was nothing at the university that was like film focused, because there's no media course there and there's not like a film degree. So I just decided to make my own short film, which was definitely a learning curve. I just bought a camera, a very cheap one, and like had all my actor friends like perform in it. And yeah, it's a terrible film. It like exists somewhere on a hard drive, like no one's gonna see it, but it taught me a lot about filmmaking. The next thing after I knew that I liked writing was I literally just sent my screenplays, my really terrible like half-finished screenplays, to everyone. I think I've just never had that shame or fear about people telling me my work is terrible, which I think is actually a really good quality to have in this business. I was like, yeah, here's a script, and someone would read it and be like, oh yeah, that's great, but they didn't know what good screenwriting was. So it kind of gave me like the encouragement. This is when I got into the actual industry and like people pretty harsh on the scripts, but by then I was like, yeah, that's cool, just you need to like get told to learn. And yeah, and I think I've always been encouraged by my parents and my family. They'd always like, yeah, read my terrible scripts and feedback on them. And I would just write so many screenplays. In my 3rd year of uni, I think I wrote like 5 like feature screenplays. I'm a very quick writer, very spontaneous writer, so I just get an idea and I'll write it. It doesn't mean they're any good, and I usually have to go back and edit a lot, but I just found that worked for me. Yeah, so I've got a few screenplays which I wrote all the way back then, which I'm still developing or tweaking, or will sometimes pitch to people. It depends whether I've actually sort of rewritten the screenplay to be at sort of a professional standard now. But the ideas are still very clear, and I pitch those. And then there's a few things that I wrote back then which actually turned into something bigger. So I wrote a screenplay in my final year of uni called Under My Thumb, and it was a short screenplay. I actually made it as a short film. It didn't turn out very well, so I turned it into a play, and then that play was sort of my first professionally produced piece of theatre. So with Under My Thumb, the play, it was a weird situation. So I'd written it as a short film, made it as a short film, didn't really go that well, so I changed it into a play because I thought it suited that medium better. Yeah, there are a lot of competitions in the industry. There are only a few free ones, I would say. There are a lot of competitions you can pay to enter, which I always think is really unfair, because when you get into the creative industry, you're always already paying so much, like getting your own equipment and spending money on a laptop or writing software. So it's like, oh. But applying to the free ones is good. They are really competitive, so you just kind of send it in and like just try and forget about it. That's what I always say. So I ended up getting into sort of content creation and editing because while I was writing, I needed some money on the side, and I thought having that as another skill would probably be helpful. And I had already sort of dabbled with editing and shooting by making my own very tiny short films. I think it's really important to just open your mind to any skill that's, you know, in the creative business. It never hurts. Like, some people say you should just be specific and train really hard at that one thing, but it takes so long to get up to a level where you're maybe getting professionally paid, or, you know, getting the good opportunities. It's good to be able to sort of broaden your range and get other bits and bobs in terms of work and maybe internship opportunities in other fields. So when I actually finished university, I met a film director on a train, very small world, and she offered to let me basically go work for her, and I was basically her intern for about 3 months, and then I worked for her more on a permanent basis. And that was totally out of the blue. She didn't have to, you know, ask if I wanted to come and work for her. Well, so that actually I did at university, I think. So I created a screenwriting block while I was at uni because there was nothing to do with screenwriting. It's like a forgotten art or something. Nobody wanted to do screenwriting or film. So I started this group with just like-minded people who loved films and loved screenwriting, and we like bounced ideas off each other. And we kind of educated each other about screenwriting. So I'd take the resources that I'd found online or from the BBC Writers' Room. Other people would bring things in, or screenplays that they loved, and we'd like interrogate them. And even though I had no official training in screenwriting, I felt like the Screenwriters Block group that I started kind of was the education. We were just sort of helping each other grow and learn. And I'm still friends with a lot of them now, so it's been really nice to keep in touch, and they still will read stuff for me if I'm like, I don't need an opinion on this script, you know, I'll send it to one of them and they'll, you know, let me know what they think. And